The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning, and thank you for attending our webinar today. Our topic today is the 3 Ps of a successful producer, prospecting, presentations, and a power close. And with me today, I have Casey Lane, Sales Vice President with North American Companies in Des Moines, and he will be making the presentation today. So we appreciate his time. I want to remind you that our webinar is recorded so that we'll make it available for you shortly after. And if for whatever reason you may have to leave or would like to listen to it again. So we do appreciate your time. I'm Jim Guinan, Annuity Sales Director here with Insurance Agency Marketing in Omaha, and I do appreciate your time today. Before I hand over the presentation to Casey, I would like to talk a little bit about what's new, some things going on here at Insurance Agency Marketing. And with that, let's talk a little bit about our incentives, some of our business builders. One that we have received lately, received a lot of referrals I have. So I do want to talk a little bit about this. If you know agents that are out in the field writing life and annuity business and they're looking for a place to work, maybe they've not received the service or guidance or have the products available to them that we would have here, please refer those individuals to us. When they contract, we'll pay you a bonus of $50. And then as they write business ongoing, you would receive, in essence, an override. And that is unlimited. So please keep that in mind as you start to work with us here, or if you've worked with us for 15 years. We'll always work with new producers that you refer to us. Our marketing reimbursement program continues to roll on here in 2018.
Hey, Jim, it's Casey. I'm sorry to cut in, bud, but your screen is still just on your first slide. Thanks for joining our webinar.
How about now? How's that?
I still see thanks for joining our webinar. Oh, there we go. IMS Business Builder.
Okay.
We're good.
All right. Sorry. I guess I need to click on that one more time. Thanks, Casey. Okay. And I do appreciate that. Also, our new producer bonus continues to grow. And let me go back real quick here. I'll finish up on marketing reimbursement. This is an account that we would put money into for you as you write your life and annuity business. And the how that works is essentially as you write the business, we throw money into the account. When you have a business expense, you would provide us with the receipt and we'll reimburse you 50% for that. And what I like about the marketing reimbursement is that you can build that up. So it's not a use it or lose it program as you get to the end of the year at some point in the year. Our new producer bonus, basically what this is designed to do is to help jumpstart your rewards for working with us in the first 180 days. So as you see, we have different thresholds, 100, 300, and 500,000 of business in the first 6 months with us. And I might add, at $500,000, our gift card or check to you would be $3,000. So again, if you're not working with an IMO or you have and you'd like to look more at what we have to offer, our services, our marketing support, keep this in mind. You'll be hard pressed to find an IMO that will offer you a new producer bonus as good as this. Our back office support, I think, here at IAMS is second to none. These individuals that not only help you, but they also help me. So the case managers, the new business team that scrubs your apps as they come in, and then also will follow up with you. They are broken down by carriers, so our new business team will scrub the applications, and then they have the carriers divided up to follow up and touch your case to let you know what's going on and to help facilitate the issue of those cases. So that's just one area. Of course, we do also provide illustrations to you. The life team and annuity both have coordinators or can run those illustrations themselves. And so, again, that's part of what we do here at IAMS, kind of behind the scene, but to try and get what you need to help you in your business and take some of the pressure off of sitting on the phone to follow up on a case or to try and help somebody at a home office that will tell you what's going on with something you submitted, or perhaps get you a recommendation or work on a case for you. Our marketing, creative marketing department, that's Josh, Tasia, and Andrew. They are quite busy working with producers on branding solutions as well as websites. They are much busier than when I started here about 4 years ago. They will talk with you about some ways to make a presence for you, maybe social media, improve a website, help you develop a website. If you need some ideas as to how to connect your website with maybe materials or emails that you send out and make a more of a brand for you, they are glad to visit with you. So reach out to them if you need help with that, and they'll be glad to work with you and let you know what cost would be involved and so forth. I did talk a little bit or mention a little bit our website in the previous screen was mentioned, but I didn't. IAMS Inc., www.iamsinc.com. That's IAMSINC.com. That is our most recent updated website. If you haven't been to it, very easy to use. And if you like access to even more information, it's very easy to create a login. You can find the ability to quote term insurance. Also, you can do a search for product or annuity products, I should say. So multi-year rate or index products, income riders. We have our current annuity grid out there. So that's about 45 pages of information. It's not every product from every carrier, but it does highlight some of the more competitive products based on carrier. It also has an income rider section to reference, as well as a multi-year rate annuity grid. Our webinar schedule is out there, and I think maybe we should also mention a very valuable resource library with presentations, with fact finders, all sorts of useful information for you as a producer. So if you haven't been to the website, you want to check it out. Okay, IAMS Wealth Management. This is a division here, a separate division of our company that has been in existence now for about 2 years, continues to grow. If you have an interest in learning a little bit more about IAMS Wealth Management, getting your Series 65, being an advisor to those individuals, growing the other side of the business, that being in essence as a wealth manager, please let Charles and his team know. I'd be glad to, I'll send out a questionnaire here. If you'd like to know more about IAMS Wealth Management, just answer yes to that question. They would be glad to reach out to you, answer any questions, maybe get a little more information to you about what's involved in being a Series 65 and working under an RIA. We've seen a lot of growth in this in just 2 years. So they can go over with you the testing, the costs involved, and what responsibilities are that. So if you have interest in it, would like to learn more about it, we'd be glad to visit with you and see if this is a match for you and your clientele. So I do appreciate your responses to those questions. Again, usually after the day of, I should say, of our webinar, you'd receive some kind of contact from their team, and we certainly do appreciate your interest in that. Okay, Life and Annuity Academy. We just completed our first academy of 2018 this last week. We are planning on another one. The date is May 23rd through the 25th. It is a 2-day training. Well, not quite, but almost a 2-day training. What we look for in the individuals that we invite to this program is individuals that are active in the fixed annuity and life business, or we're writing, I would say at least $500,000 of annuity premium a year is what we look for. And through the Life and Annuity Academy, our objective is to give you as much information to help you grow that business. Maybe you want to work with the Social Security Seminar Program, and there's another seminar that we also will talk with you about there. The purpose is not to say you have to be in that market, but we will provide you information about how that works or can work for you. The single premium market, which I think is often overlooked. Some advanced topics, maybe getting more into income riders and what products are competitive in the marketplace today to help you grow your business. This recent academy, we talked a little bit about the IMS Wealth Management, but also about branding. Again, it's very important. We're seeing it as a way to help agents grow their business. So it is a Wednesday evening, all day Thursday, half day Friday program. We pack a lot of information into it. We do expect the agents to be contracted with us. Depending on where it's at, they have to be contracted with one or more of our top carriers. And so if you have interest in that, again, May 23rd through the 25th, which is the week right before Memorial Day, so that you know, we are accepting registrations now. And that time is coming, believe it or not, pretty fast. Believe it or not, Memorial Day is only about 6 weeks away. So we are accepting registrations. We are reviewing those registrations already, and we'll be looking at about 35 producers to come. And this will be in Omaha at our brokerage office. So right where I'm at, West Omaha. So if you have interest in that, we'd like to talk to you about it too. We'll tell you more about it, get you a sample agenda. And if there's a manager here that you've worked with in the annuity or life market that you've already worked with, just ask them about the academy and say, is that something that I would be able to come to? So I do appreciate your response. After the webinar is over, we will send you an email with a registration link. I do want to tell you the registration link does not give you the dates. It'll say 2018, but it is May 23rd through the 25th, so that you know. Beyond that, we have not yet determined the date of the next academy. Where or when, we don't know, but we will have one more for sure this year. So thanks for your response to that. I do appreciate it. And if anyone else would like, if you have any questions on it, you can certainly reach out to me too. Okay, and so lastly, I want to mention to you our marketing summit, which we just completed. The summit for the previous 2-year period or so was at Boulders Resort in Arizona. We have not announced yet where and exactly when, but our next marketing summit will be sometime after June, the last of June 2019. This will be a both educational and social event. It's an invite only, but just want you to know we do have plans for another marketing summit, and we certainly look forward to helping you, some of you out there, qualify for that event. So with that, I will now turn the presentation over to Casey, and hopefully everything works on my slides. I just switched that over. Casey, do you have that now?
I have control, and I hope what you see is my presentation.
I do see it.
Okay. And let's just make sure that it's moving. Is it moving, Jim?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Perfect.
Sorry, I didn't know. I thought that was rhetorical.
No, that was a question. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it, bud. Well, good day, everyone. Listen, on behalf of myself and all of the other employee owners here at North American, the annuity division in West Des Moines, Iowa, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules and away from your own clients and prospects to join us here. You know, obviously, as independent agents that work on commissions, you folks aren't making any money unless you're in front of clients and prospects. So for you to take 45 minutes, you know, maybe an hour out of your busy schedule and away from those folks again is sincerely appreciated. And thank you, by the way, to anybody here on our webinar today that has written North American annuities. We sincerely appreciate the opportunity to earn some of your annuity business. We realize there's some other great carriers out there that offer some wonderful products. And for that reason, I always tell individuals that I'll never ask for 100% of your annuity business. Feel free to continue to send that other 3% to anybody that you want to. So hopefully nobody's writing 100% of their business with any one company, but do know what you do send our way is appreciated. Jim and Iams, thank you for, again, having us on today, giving us an opportunity to be in front of your agents. More importantly, thank you for being a true partner here with North American Company. All right, well, obviously, Jim and I want you folks to get the most out of your time here with us today. So as I always do, I have one simple piece of homework during my presentations, and that is I want you to think about your database of clients and prospects as I'm going through my presentation. And if a prospect's name or a client's face pops into your head for whatever reason, whatever it is I'm talking about at that point in time, I'm going to encourage you to write down that individual's name right then and there. Because I guarantee if you're anything like me and you try to wait till the end of the presentation, you're going to forget who it was you wanted to talk to and what it was you wanted to talk to them about. So my goal here when we're done today is for each of you to have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 prospects or clients that you can call and you can share the information that I'm going to share with you here today. Hey, Jim, do you mind hitting mute on your phone, bud? I'm sorry. So as Jim mentioned, the title of my presentation today is the 3 Ps of successful producers: prospecting, presenting or presentation, and power close. Now, successful producers, what do we mean by that? Well, by the way, these ideas, these concepts, the things I'm sharing with you today are not things that Casey came up with, or these aren't things that our creative services or our marketing team came up with. These are actual things, these are actual ideas and concepts that are being used today by producers that are successful. So these are things that your peers out in the field are doing today. And with that in mind, what I'm going to share with you today may not be the best thing for you. Because it's working for one doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work for you. But again, know that each of the 3 things I'm going to share with you today are being used currently today by successful producers like yourself. And the first one we want to start off with is probably the one that when I'm out traveling on the road and when I talk to agents, and the question I do like to ask, one main question I like to ask is, if you could spend more time doing any one thing in your practice today, what would it be? And I think 8.5 to 9 times out of 10, prospecting comes up as the #1 answer. So I'm pretty sure that if you can get in front of more qualified prospects this week, this month, and this year than last week, last month, and last year, you're probably going to make more money. Wouldn't you agree? And I don't know many agents that don't want to make more money out there. So prospecting definitely is a big aspect of your practice. And are there a number of ways, multiple ways that you can go about prospecting? Absolutely. There's seminars, there's workshops, there's referral. I mean, you name it, there's a variety of ways that you can try to get in front of more qualified prospects, right? The one I want to share with you here today is based on 4 simple, powerful words. And the beauty of this thing is it really doesn't involve spending a whole lot of money, #1. And it revolves around working with your existing clientele. So think about those two things. Doesn't have to involve much, if any, money at all, cost to you, and it revolves around working with your existing clientele. And the 4 powerful words are simply this: may I join you? May I join you? 4 easy, simple words, right? So here's how this works. Again, thinking about your database of clients, think about your existing clientele, and you may already know some of this about some of your clients. The idea here is to discover what the client does for fun. What do they enjoy doing? What are their hobbies? What are their passions? All right? Now, to a certain extent, some of their passions and hobbies, they may not be of much interest to you. Some you may not be comfortable with doing. We're not saying, I'm not going to tell you to use this prospecting tool with those individuals, but when you find out what their passions are, what their hobbies are, and when you are meeting with them, or when you maybe even just pick up the phone and just carry on a normal conversation, but ask them, when are they going to be doing that again? Mrs. Client, when are you going to be going out and taking wildlife photography? Or when are you going to be going out and driving those go-karts? Whatever it might be. When you find out what it is and when they're going to do it again, simply ask them, may I join you? Can I join you? Easy as that. Now think about this again. You're working with your existing clients that you already have, most of them, you already have a strong relationship with, right? Do you think that one of your existing clients is going to say, no, you can't join me? I mean, again, unless it's something very personal, that they're doing, their hobbies or passions, I'm certain that they're going to be more than open to having you join them on whatever it is that they enjoy doing the next time. So, because if you think about this, doing what someone loves is when they are at their most happiest, when they're at their most open, right? Think about what it is you enjoy doing. What are your passions? What are your hobbies? When you're doing those, are you typically probably at your happiest and most open? I know I am. I mean, my hobby and my passion is I enjoy shooting sporting clays. As the clay targets. That's something I really enjoy doing, and when I'm doing it, I'm typically at my most happiest, unless I'm not hitting many of the targets. Then I'm not quite as happy. So think about this. Typically, when you do your hobby or passion, in a lot of instances, there's other people that you're doing it with. They're sharing that same experience. They're also at their happiest, right? The other thing I enjoy doing is I enjoy playing basketball. I mean, there's typically at least 5, 6, if not 9 other guys on the court playing when I'm playing. And again, for the most part, since we're older, we're not competitive. I mean, we're not competitive in the sense that we're going to get upset if we lose or miss a shot, me personally. So we're just out there having fun. Just a bunch of guys playing some basketball. They're at their happiest also when they're doing that. Nothing is better than getting introduced to new people when they're doing what it is they love, right? So if you can just join that client on their next expedition, whatever it is, can I join you? May I join you? Not only are you going to be seeing your client in their happy mode, you're going to be seeing probably a number of other folks also enjoying the experience and also at their happiest. So it's kind of a reverse client appreciation event in a sense. But again, you're not going to have to spend much, if any, money to do it, right? And you're working with, again, existing clientele. You give it a shot. Again, I'm not telling you to stop doing what you're doing for your prospecting techniques and methods, but how hard is it to say, may I join you? Especially if that client's hobby or passion is something that maybe you have a little bit of an interest in. Again, there's a comfort level, I understand, but do it with clients that you know you're going to enjoy the time as well. Not only may you meet new prospects, but you're going to strengthen that bond with your existing client as well. May I join you? 4 powerful words. Again, I didn't come up with this. This isn't something we just come up with. This is what some successful advisors are doing today. That was the prospecting P. Let's take a look at the second P, which is presenting or presentation. Most of you, I shouldn't say most of you because I don't know all of you by any means, a number of agents, advisors out in the field today typically are doing some type of a seminar, some type of a workshop, some type of a teaching event with clients or prospects, right? Some of you on the call today probably do seminars. They are still a great way to get in front of a large group of prospects at one time. So a lot of you are using, probably more than likely, like I do today and like Jim did, we're using some form of a PowerPoint presentation, a visual aid on the screen there, right? Most of us use that in our presentation. I want to actually kind of flip it here real quick and share with you personal experience on this particular concept of a new spin, or maybe it might not be new, but it's somewhat new to me, on just winging the presentation. We've heard the phrase, just wing it. This is a new spin, and I want to share with you how I kind of found this out myself. When I'm out traveling and visiting with advisors like you in the field, when I'm doing just kind of making one-on-one meetings, I would typically go in and I would have a series of maybe, 10 to 15 questions or topics that I wanted to make sure I covered with the advisor during that meeting. So I'd go in with my list and I'd go down that list and I'd ask those questions and cover those topics that I wanted to cover. And before I knew it, by the time I got done with what I wanted to cover, my hour or whatever time I had slotted was practically up. I realized that I was going about it all wrong. Now, granted, I again knew what I wanted to cover, what my agenda was. I wasn't taking into consideration what my client or what my prospect maybe wanted to cover, right? I had all these things I want to make sure I went over, but who knows if that was even of interest to this client or this prospect, or if it's what they wanted to cover, what they wanted to go over. So now what I do, I still have my list of questions and topics that I would like to go over, but I start every meeting now with just a simple question of, hey, you know what, I came in here with an agenda. There's things I definitely want to make sure I asked you, but I want to make sure I cover what it is you're interested in. What are you concerned about? What do you want to talk about today? So I just open it up to them to make sure we cover what it is they are interested in, are concerned about, or want to hear about. And then if I have some time left, which I typically do, I'll make sure that I knock off a few of my top tier questions or topics that I wanted to make sure I covered as well. Think about that in a presentation setting. And when I say presentation, a seminar or a workshop. Think about, and I know we've heard this term before, think about the plate lickers that are coming in. They've seen probably your same seminar, your same PowerPoint presentation 3, 4, 6, who knows, 6, 7, 8 times. I don't know how often you allow an individual or a couple to come to your seminar and do some dinner without actually setting an appointment. But you know you've seen the same people in those workshops, in those seminars time and time again. You've done the same presentation. And I know some of you mix it up or have different topics, but the point is that you're using some form of a presentation, a PowerPoint, to go over the topics you want to go over. Change it up a little bit. Think about this, and I've known several advisors that have done this very successfully. So I think the one gentleman I can think of for sure that I know does seminars still today and does them religiously, he did the same presentation over and over and over and over again. And suddenly, at the beginning of one of his presentations, it wasn't something that he thought of the week before, the night before. He goes, I was sitting in the front of the room going through my introduction. And he goes, I realized that I do this same thing over and over and over. I cover topics that I want to cover, that I want to make sure these people learn about. But you know what? Not everybody in the room wants to learn that. Or some of them already probably know what it is you're going to share with them. So what he did, he started a seminar out, did his introduction, and said, you know what? I've got 36 slides here on my PowerPoint deck that I wanted to go through with you folks this evening. I was going to cover topics like lifetime income planning, Social Security planning, financial plans, the stock, obviously everybody has their topics. And then he said, you know what? I'm going to do something different tonight. This is the first time I've ever done this. Basically what he did is he said, you know what? I want to know what you want to know. What is it that you want to know today? What keeps you up at night? What keeps you restless? What fears do you have? I mean, and he literally just opened it up. He goes, I want you to ask me any question you want. I don't care what it is, even if it's sport, whatever it is, ask me any question. That first seminar, he said he literally had to pull some questions out of clients. There wasn't a whole lot of folks that were raising their hand and had questions. But he goes, once 4 or 5 folks asked a few questions and we spent a little time, people started to open up. So now what he does every time, every workshop, he'll have about 6 or 7 slides. He wants to make sure that he has some things in case there's a shy audience. People don't want to, ask questions. There's 5 or so, 6 slides that he still wants to make sure that he'll go over. So he always has those in his back pocket just in case. But he will do this at every presentation now. I had an agenda. I had things I want to cover, but I'm not sure if those are things you want to hear about. So tell me what it is you want to hear about. Think about that for those of you that do seminars, that do workshops. It's going to be out of your comfort zone. I remember him specifically saying that he was glad he didn't think about doing it this way, beforehand or the week before, because he goes, I definitely don't think I would have done it, but it just hit me at that point in time. Let's try something different. So why not try something different? If it doesn't work, you can always go back to the old presentation that you do. And by the way, while we're talking about seminars and PowerPoints and stuff, let me just add one other thing too. So regarding PowerPoints, PowerPoint shouldn't be your presentation. It should enhance your presentation, right? So many of you've been using PowerPoint for so long, it's virtually inseparable from the presentation in your mind. Still contrary to some, I don't know what you want to call them, performance coaches, super presenters, contrary to their recommendations, we don't generally advocate completely doing away with PowerPoint at your events. Why? Well, because the data, research overwhelmingly suggests that prospects prefer at least some form of visual accompaniment when trying to understand new financial concepts. So don't do completely away with a PowerPoint or some slides that you can at least take a look at, or your clients or prospects can look at. With that said, I recommend dramatically scaling back the amount of content that you're placing on slides. If every word you intend to say is listed on your slides, your audience sees little need for you as the presenter, right? They also attach little value to your skills as a presenter if you've got everything just written up there on the slide. So utilize minimal slide content whenever possible. Instead of having 8 bullet points up there, use an intriguing image on the screen that's indicative of the ideas that you would have covered with those bullet points, right? Rather than a short paragraph of text, consider 3 key words your audience needs to hear and go from that. So again, not saying completely do away with PowerPoint and that, but just make it more minimal, if you will. So just a side note on the presentation or presenting. The third P of successful producers is the power close, right? Closing, the power close. So one of our competitors did a research study of 650 advisors who in 2016 wrote $6 billion of annuities. 650 advisors wrote $6 billion of annuities in 2016. Of those 650 advisors, 75% leveraged seminars as their primary prospecting strategy. Right? That was their main prospecting strategy, was seminars. Now, most of them did also have 2, 3, 4 other prospecting techniques, but the vast majority of them, 75%, said seminars were their primary prospecting strategy. In virtually every seminar, the advisor's calls to action at the conclusion of their event included a summary of what is being offered if and when the prospect attended a no obligation appointment in their office. It was a summary, not a visual, just a verbiage summary, a spoken summary of what it is that, hey, Mrs. Client, Mr. and Mrs. Client, if you attend a no obligations meeting with me after this event, here's what you're going to get. That didn't work. It doesn't work. The missed opportunity there is that many advisors, again, speak of the offer in the abstract. So consider the difference in these two scenarios. Scenario one, a doctor simply tells you it might be wise to run a precautionary screen for pulmonary embolisms given your history of high blood pressure and recent lightheadedness, right? So they tell you it might be wise. Second scenario, another doctor shows you a diagram of an actual blood clot that he saw obstructing a patient's carotid artery the week before, and he tells you if they hadn't done immediate surgery, that patient could have passed away. And he suggests, given your high blood pressure and your recent lightheadedness, you should likely do a precautionary screen for similar blood clots. Which of the two doctors likely is going to get your attention more? Doctor number two, right? He showed you a live or a true scenario. He didn't just speak of it, but he showed you. So when making your call to action and offer, make it concrete by referencing an actual visual, the deliverable that your clients will receive when they do work with your firm, when they do attend that no obligation meeting, whether it's a retirement analyzer output, some form of retirement roadmap or GPS or whatever it might be, show it clearly in your presentation and have sample copies on hand that you can flip through. And you can clearly explain that the clarity and increased confidence when you have that in front of you. Make that call to action visual. Have that GPS roadmap, that financial plan, a sample financial plan with you. Pass samples around that those prospects can actually hold, see, feel, and touch. And as a result, one of the surveyors, one of these advisors, this is just one, it's a very small sample, but one advisor, before they made their call to action visual, they had a 55% conversion rate. So for the first basically 9 months of the year, 8 months of the year. When they went to that next seminar and they actually brought with them that visual call to action, that conversion rate increased to 86%. Again, small sample, but a very successful sample at that. So again, if you, in your seminars, in your workshops, if you're simply talking about what it is the client can get by having a meeting with you and working with your firm, try or think about adding that as a visual so those prospects and those clients can actually see. So I've got a little extra stuff here I want to cover, but again, the 3 P's of successful producers: prospecting, presenting or presentation, and power close. Again, not going to work for everybody. I'm not telling you to stop doing what it is you're doing out there, but think about implementing some of those things into your practice. Now, real quick, what I did want to do also is wanted to touch on some crediting methods, some strategies that we have available that work well in today's interest rate and market environment. I know you guys have seen what the market's been doing. I mean, it's been worse than a roller coaster the last 3 to 6 months. I mean, it is up, it is down, it is up, it's down. It hasn't stayed real steady here for a little bit while. You're going to find that these strategies I want to share with you are things you can take advantage of and your clients and prospects can take advantage of in the interest rate and the market environment that we're in today. And the first one I want to talk about is a strategy, a crediting method that we call the inverse performance trigger. Inverse performance trigger. So just looking at the name of this thing, you can probably gather that if something negative happens, there's going to be a positive outcome. And that's exactly what this strategy does. In a negative thing happens, there's a positive output. So what I mean by that is, Mrs. Client, if the S&P 500 is flat or down at all over the next 12 months, you will receive a positive interest credit for any monies that you have in that particular strategy. Let me say that again. Mrs. Client, if the S&P 500 is flat or negative at all in the next 12 months, North American is going to credit you a positive interest credit for any monies that you have in that strategy. So again, something negative happens, you get a positive outcome. Why would this maybe work so well? Well, think about the environment we're in today. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Here's the good news, Mrs. Client. Even if we just allocate a small percentage of your premium, 5%, 10%, 20%, some portion of your premium to this strategy, basically what you're saying is you're guaranteeing that no matter what the market does this next 12 months, you're going to receive some positive interest credit to your account. All right? You put a little bit in this thing, no matter what happens, if the market's up, the monies you have in the other strategies, you'll get positive returns on. If the market is down, you're going to get a positive return on the monies you have in the inverse performance trigger. So you're guaranteeing your client every single year, no matter what the market does, they will see some positive interest credits to their account. And you know as well as we all know the saying, zero is your hero. We understand how that works, but you still have to explain to clients, even next year, 3 years from now, 6 years from now, why or how they got a zero on their account. Because you know why? Their neighbor, who probably has something similar in index annuity, they might have got a 9% interest credit. Why did I get a zero? It's all based on when the policy is issued, but they're going to have to explain those zeros. This strategy will help eliminate having to explain those zeros. Let me just make sure too, one thing, it's not a cap, it's not a participation rate. What it is it's a declared interest rate. That's what the performance trigger means. It's a declared interest rate. So right now, for example, depending on the product that you're looking at with us, that inverse performance trigger is going to be anywhere from 3.85% to 5.9%. Again, depending on the product that we're looking at, 3.85 to 5.9. Well, let's just say that the performance trigger is 4%. And then we'll go through this example here. The performance trigger is 4%. If the S&P 500 has any positive returns that year, now again, remember, this only works if it's down. So if the S&P is positive for the year, you simply get a zero in any monies that are in that bucket. You can never lose any money in index annuities due to market performance. But in this one, if the S&P is positive, because this only works if it's down, you'll get a zero on any monies that you have in the inverse performance trigger. But let's say that the S&P is down 10% this year. Mrs. Client, you're going to get a 4% interest credit on the monies that you had in that particular bucket. If the market's down 20%, you're going to get a 4% interest credit. Mrs. Client, if the market's down 0.2%, you're going to get a 4% interest credit, because again, it's not a cap, it's a declared rate. So it doesn't matter how little or how much the S&P goes down, you would receive, in this example, a 4% interest credit. So again, I mentioned today, depending on the product, you're looking at 3.85% to 5.90% is what that inverse performance trigger, the declared rate, is today. So turn that negative into a positive. And I know you have clients and prospects that are concerned about the market today. They personally, I feel there's some downside exposure. We can't go another 2, 3, 4, 5 years of seeing the types of returns we've seen. Personally, if I were purchasing a product that had this strategy in it, I would allocate some of my premium to the inverse performance trigger, because I feel the market has some downside exposure. I'm insulating myself that if it does go down, again, you can't lose money with an index annuity, but you know what, Mrs. Client? Why not turn that negative into an actual positive? think about the inverse performance trigger. What I will recommend is probably don't put 100% of the client's premium into the inverse performance trigger unless you have a crystal ball and you know for certain that the market's going to be down the next 12 months. And if you do, you probably wouldn't be out selling index annuities anyway, but probably wouldn't suggest putting 100% in the inverse performance trigger, but a portion of the client's premium. And by the way, Mrs. Client, if next year you change your mind and you don't want to hedge against the downside, we can reallocate those premium dollars to any other bucket or strategy we want to. You don't have to keep them in there, but you make the decision on an annual basis and we can always change that up. So think about that inverse performance trigger. There I mentioned here's the current declared rate depending on the product that you're looking at. Retire Choice and Performance Choice. Those are the two index annuities that we offer the inverse performance trigger. Last thing I want to do also has to do with indices, crediting methods, and strategies. You folks know as well as I do that no one index, no one crediting method, no one strategy is going to be the best performing strategy year in and year out, year over year, right? Last year, maybe a monthly point-to-point cap strategy was the best. Maybe this year, an annual point-to-point with monthly averaging is going to be the best. Maybe the year after that, an uncapped participation rate. We don't know which strategy is going to be the best year over year. Again, we don't have the crystal ball. If I knew exactly what the market was going to do on a daily basis over the next 12 months or monthly basis, I'd tell you exactly which strategy to put your premium in. But we don't know. Although what we have seen is we have seen a variety of, when I say we, the industry, we've seen, with some of these volatility control indices, some of these, these uncapped strategies, we see a lot of premium from clients being allocated to one strategy. They're putting 100% of their strategy into this particular index or crediting method because that illustration that the agent showed me, that one performed the best. That had some real good performance to it. So I'm going to put 100% in this strategy, or maybe I'm going to put 100% in that strategy. Well, and we're not saying don't put 100% in any one strategy, although I did say I probably wouldn't put 100% in the inverse performance. When you put 100% of your premium into one index, one crediting method, here's what's going to happen. And this is an example of some strategies that we have available, assuming certain rates or certain margins. And I'm not going to go through all these in details, but what I want you to do is to make sure that we talk about, I heard it from my parents, I tell my kids, what's the saying we always say? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Appropriate since we just had Easter. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Well, why not? Look at the illustration. It shows real well. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to see decent returns. I mean, for an index annuity, what do we say? We say you can expect an index annuity to perform 1 to 3% above traditional fixed annuities. So 4 to 5%. That's decent returns. It's conservative, but that's what an index annuity is designed to do. At the same time, if you allocate all premium into one strategy, what's going to happen is you're going to have about a 24 to 30%, 25 to 30% chance, 20 to 30% chance, not chance, but a 20 to 30% of the time, you're going to have to tell that client that they got a 0 on their statement because of the allocation 100% to one strategy. So real quick example, Mrs. Client, if you were to allocate 100% of your premium to this strategy, an S&P 500 strategy with a 50% participation rate and no cap, you get 50% of whatever the S&P does. Over the course, looking back to 1999, so we're talking almost 20 years. If we look back to 1999, almost 20 years, you would have received a decent 5% average annual interest credit to your contract. However, at the same time, basically 1 in every 3 years, you would have gotten a 0 on your statement. And again, 0 is your hero, right? We understand that, but your client's going to ask why they got a 0. You're going to have to explain it every year probably that they get a 0 because they tend to forget how these things work. What about this, Mrs. Client? Let's not put all of our eggs in one basket, but let's diversify amongst several different strategies or indices or crediting methods. What we're going to see happen is we're going to see very similar type returns over that same period, 4.5%, right? Similar to what we saw up here. But look at this, 94, 93% of the time, over the course of those 19 years, you would have received some positive interest credit to your index annuity. Only 6.5% of the time over the 19-year period would you have gotten a 0 on your statement because of your diversification, by diversifying in a number of those different strategies and allocations. So again, I know we're stuck on, you know, what's going to show the best, what's going to illustrate the best for my client, and let's put 100% in there. Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you can see similar type returns by diversifying amongst a number of different strategies, and at the same time reduce the client's zeros on their statement. So inverse performance trigger, diversification, the 3 Ps of successful producers. Jim, with that, I will turn it back over to you, my friend. Again, I hope each of you has 2 to 3 or 4 names of some clients or prospects that you can call on today, share or talk about, or try some of the 3 Ps out on, or maybe talk to about these diversification strategies and maybe the inverse performance trigger. Jim.
Well, thank you, Casey. Very good. You did answer a question one of the producers had, which was how many of your index products offer the inverse performance trigger, which was 2, correct? 2 products. And yeah, there are, you'll be hard pressed to find many carriers that offer that too. I don't know if you mentioned that, but there aren't many carriers that I can think of that offer an inverse performance trigger. There's a few that have a performance trigger or a declared rate strategy. So that is very unique, and that's something to certainly consider when we're allocating strategies with North American. So I do appreciate your information, and I would like to also, for those of you out there, to consider working with us and working with North American more. Casey's got some great ideas there for those of you looking at additional ways to grow your business, and great prospecting ideas, Casey, and diversifying strategies. That is something that we talk about a lot here at Insurance Agency Marketing. So if you'd like to get a little bit more information about North American's portfolio of index and fixed annuities, let me know. If you'd like to get appointed, we can certainly help you with that also. So if you do, I launched a question here real quick, or maybe I didn't, and now I will. Sorry about that. Go ahead and respond to that. And if you have any questions that over the material that Casey went through today, or any questions that we can help you with, feel free to type those in. We do appreciate your time. Casey, always great to hear your material, your ideas, prospecting, presentations, closing, diversifying. Those are all some very important things to keep in mind. So thank you for your attendance today. We do appreciate it. And Casey, thanks once again for your time and your advice. So,
as always, Jim, thank you very much, sir.
You bet. Everyone have a great day. Thank you so much.